Hi, everybody. Welcome to Friday. So today's Friday, April the 24th. I'm saying that on purpose because in my experience lately, all the days are blending into one another, and I think it's helpful to have these daily reminders about what day it is. So this workshop webinar is geared towards autistic teens, so teens on the spectrum. And the goal, sometimes I chat a little too much, but the goal is to be done this within the hour. So I think how we're going to start is I'm going to go, first of all, through the agenda, what we'll talk about today, and then a little bit about me, and then we'll get going. Actually, maybe let's start a little bit about me. I'm gonna take a step back. So, and if people are new on the webinar, I'm gonna just give you a little bit of a rundown as what I've learned. This is the third one that I've done. I've done one for parents and caregivers, one for adults on the spectrum, and now one for teens. Some people may already may have already viewed some of these before, and some may be new. I know in my experience there's been parents and service providers also who've watched, which is fantastic. So welcome. But people who are new on this, I've kind of been learning as I'm going. I am going to be forwarding the slides. You do in the corner here, and I think if I bring it up, you can see it. In the corner here, there's this handout page. So my presentation slides are there in French and in English. There is my contact information as well here also. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Those are my contact information there is there as well. That's what I meant to do. There is a self-care check-in that we'll be doing, and there's a video that I won't be playing, but that I'll refer to and that I think people can go back and watch later. So that's sort of some of the resources I'll be talking to and referring to during the presentation today. I also want to point out, so something else I'll be bringing up is there is a question and answer box here, right here. What's worked really well over the last few presentations that I've done is I'm trying to make it as interactive as possible. So I am a social worker, which I'll talk more about in a second. And as part of that, I like talking to people and listening. And when I present in person, I like to make it as interactive as possible. So this has been harder for me, although I'm adapting, because it is one way. So what I mean by it being one way is people watching live right now can see me on video. I'm sure everybody knows this, but I just want to make it really, really clear that I cannot see any of you. So I can't see any of you out there, but you can see me. So it's private, it's confidential. I can see the number of people who are watching right now, but I cannot see any names, nor can anybody else who's watching. They can't see the names. So there's no, nobody knows who's watching, so it's private. However, when I ask a question, if people wanted to respond, which would be fantastic, it makes it more enjoyable. What happens when people want to respond is in that little box that I mentioned a second ago, which I'm going to try to, hold on, give me a second here. This little box here. Oops, nope. Bear with me here. The question and answer box I just showed. Here we go. This little box. So when I ask a question, your name will pop up on that. So I will be able to see the names of people who are answering. And when I sort of share information that people are saying, I will never share a name. So it's private that way. I may say, like last time we talked about exercise and people were saying, well, I'm doing exercise at home. I'm trying to go for a walk. So I was saying those things out without saying people's names. Okay, so I just want to let people know no one else will see your name, just me. So feel free to share information, and I will be the only one that sees your name, and it will be kept confidential. So I hope that's clear. And And the other thing I want to talk about before going forward is I made, maybe I can say an error. Usually when I present sort of to groups of people, like face-to-face live, which we can't do now, obviously, I mentioned the language that I use. I've neglected to do that the last 2 times, which I shouldn't have. So as you can see by the main slide, presentation slide, it says wellness and self-care for autistic teens. I had some feedback from people in the past saying, well, shouldn't it be person-first language, teens with autism? And so I just wanted to point out that I've actually used that language quite purposefully. I work a lot with teens and adults on the spectrum, autistic teens and adults, and I often when I present, I do try to have people on the spectrum present with me, which isn't possible right now. But what I did want to highlight is that I use the term autistic teens or autistic adults on purpose because I listen to people on the spectrum who tell me that is, for many, the preferred language to use, that autism is not an appendage, but the whole part of, and a proud part of people's experiences. And I want to honor that. I do go back and forth. So you will hear me say people with sometimes, but I try to use the identity first language. And so I just want to say that that's quite purposeful that I do that. I also want to highlight that when I do meet with people face to face, I ask people's preference. But that, yeah, I just want to let people know that that's very much on purpose. A little bit, just very quickly, a little bit about me. So as I said, I'm a social worker. I live in Peterborough, Ontario. I have been here for almost 7 years now. I'm originally from Toronto. But as people probably know, Toronto is a very busy city, an expensive city. And so 7 years ago, my family decided to move to a little bit more of a quieter community, which I'm happy about. So I'm in Peterborough, and I run my own private practice, which is mostly with people on the spectrum and their families. And I also teach part-time at Fleming College also. So personally, so I do have 2 kids. So we're talking about sort of managing at home with families. I have 2 children myself, neither on the spectrum. But I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old daughter. I point that out because I'm talking to teens now. I have one myself, and I know it's been this change in routine has been sometimes particularly hard on teens. And so I want to acknowledge that that it's a strange and different time. And the goal of today's workshop really is to help, the reality is right now that we are all self-isolating. Well, most of us, the people who can, are, and that this is a difficult and different time, and that, we can't control things that are going on outside. We can help the situation by honoring what the doctors and professionals are saying, which is about social distancing. I've heard in Ontario the numbers are beginning to flatten a little quicker than they had thought, and that's because of the social distancing that people are doing, I think, and other protocols. But yeah, so we can't control having to be isolated, which is hard at home with families. But today's webinar is really about what we can control. So that's what we're gonna talk about. What we can do during this time to make things feel a little bit more as calm as possible, and that you're having some moments of joy and peace. I will say a lot of the teens I'm working with on the spectrum right now, some are having a hard time and some are doing okay. So we'll go. And so on that note, just a really quick. So this is what the next 50-ish minutes is going to look like. We're going to do a bit of a check-in. We're going to talk about structure and routine. And in that, we're going to talk about schoolwork and family and how we're managing that. The morning and evening routines, some do's and don'ts to think about, and a little bit about shifting our expectations or being a little bit more kind to ourselves, having a little bit more compassion for ourselves during this time. Just a little bit about mindfulness and what that means. It's not meditation the way that some people think about it. Just about moments of being connected and present in what you're doing. And we'll talk about ways you can do that even through video games. And then there's going to be guided visualization at the end. So that's what the next 15 minutes is going to look like. Yeah, so let's do a quick check-in, and hopefully this will work, and hopefully people will feel comfortable doing this. So I saw somebody made a comment. So some of the questions I'll answer as we go, and some we'll maybe answer later. So somebody did ask about selective mutism, and if there's time, I'll mention that. Okay, so my first question or thing I want to ask is just maybe in a word or two, how people have been feeling and coping right now. So I will say for me, I have moments of feeling pretty calm. Last weekend, I had a strange moment of feeling pretty low that came out of the blue. I lacked energy and lacked motivation. So if people want to, on this question and answer screen, if people wanted to comment, that would be great. So what the question is, the question is how people are coping, or what feelings they're having about the experience right now. So I'm not seeing any comments yet. Okay, so if people wanted to, there we go. Somebody's feeling restless. Thank you for feeling like you want to share. Makes me feel kind of shy. Oh, I'm not sure if that means somebody means about commenting right now or just in general. But I appreciate the comments. So if anybody else wants to comment about how they're feeling and coping right now, feel free to do so. I may move on. Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh, good. Here they come. Perfect. Not perfect because some of the emotions are difficult, but I appreciate people answering. So somebody's saying feeling overwhelmed. So I think we have some parents on here too, which is fantastic. So feeling a little bit overwhelmed, working and having to help kids with school is hard. Yeah, I feel, I'm having to juggle the both. Somebody's saying not super great. It's not great that you're not feeling super great. But what I appreciate is that you're sort of being honest about your feeling up and down in our house. Somebody's saying, I like this experience because we don't have to move around. I've had other people say that they feel really comfortable in their house, and that's been helpful. Somebody's keeping really busy. My routine is off, so that's been hard. So great, thank you for all those comments. So a little bit of this and that. Okay, so I'm gonna move on, but I appreciate that. I'll come back to this after. And somebody said stressed, more extreme changes in mood. Yeah, and I've had all those sorts of things as well, in terms of stress and mood. So we're sort of all, I know people are hearing this phrase a lot, but I think it's true. We're all in this together, and all the experiences we're having are valid. So feeling overwhelmed is valid. Having moments of like, oh, this is actually okay, it's valid. And just to be aware of that there's no right or wrong way to feel right now. I think some people I've talked to feel like they should be feeling more overwhelmed than they are, and then they're sort of judging themselves for that. Some people feel like they should be more calm. So, we're going to talk about how to ensure that that these feelings are all valid. Okay. Moving on. So we're going to talk a little bit about structure and routine. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm going to go back to the previous slide. So there's people in the back end from Autism Ontario who've been a great support to me while we're getting this up and going and are running this in the back. And the person who's sort of really coordinating this, I realized I sent the wrong slides to her. And I realized that, and the slides are, so there's missing two pages on this. The one about schoolwork and family. I didn't send the ones that had that information on it. And I panicked a little bit about it, and I was feeling really badly about myself and judging myself for making that error. I choose to tell you that because we all make mistakes sometimes, and they may feel really big, and they may feel like the end of the world. And even during this and doing schoolwork and everything, we all mess up from time to time. And I was like, oh, how did I send the wrong slides? How did I forget to do that? And I was feeling pretty badly about myself for making that mistake. And I chose to share that story just to let people know that it's okay. These things happen. We do the best we can, and sometimes there are minor mistakes that happen that really, in the big picture, end up not being a big deal. So we're going to talk about structure and routine, and I'm going to work in information about schoolwork to that and family, because I don't have the slides, but I'll talk about it to those on those slides. Okay. Structure and routine. So these are, and if people have watched this before, you may, it's going to be a bit of a repeat, some of this, but all these tips are really important for anybody, for teens, for kids, for parents. So that's why a lot of it's sort of similar. So structure and routine. Somebody said in the question and answer that the routine is off, and that's been difficult. And I think that's been the hardest thing, especially for some of the people on the spectrum, some of the autistic folks I work with, where routine can be really helpful. It can help to provide predictability. And sorry, I'm fidgeting here. I fidget myself sometimes, so that's what I'm doing. So routine is really helpful. And when routine changes suddenly, like it did this time, goodness, we've been doing this for 5 or 6 weeks now, I guess. When it changed suddenly, it threw a lot of people off. I work with students who go to Trent University. They suddenly went home. Their classes were online. High school students, students in high school and elementary, things suddenly changed, and they didn't, I know my kids, for example, it was the beginning of March break, and they didn't have time to bring things home. So some of their stuff is still at school. And they didn't really have time to prepare, and you guys didn't have time to prepare. So it's really helpful to try to, I know we're a month into this now, and I think families and people have found their own routine almost. People have gotten a routine in place. If not, or if it's falling off a little bit, as it will, sometimes, just to remember that it sounds so simple, but it's so important for wellness to have a bit of a routine. And I know it's tough because I'm struggling with it myself and my family. And so we do the best we can right now. That's all we can ask of anybody, is to do the best we can. And so these are some structure, some tips. So even though a lot of people aren't leaving their homes, like for work and that sort of thing, it can be helpful to set an alarm for the same time every day. So sometimes for teens, you may, your parents or your guardians may be having the rules around that. And that's, my family here, we've been a bit more flexible around wake time than we were when people were going to school, but there's an expectation that people get up at a certain time, and that is not because parents are being difficult, but because it's helpful to have that routine. It's helpful to try as much as possible to keep your sleep-wake cycle the same. It makes, it helps when the day starts and ends. It's good for mental health. So try to wake up the same time every day. I know we are also trying to, sorry, I got distracted by a dog outside. I know we are also trying to keep the weekends a little bit more flexible. I don't know if your family's doing that as well, but we are having a little bit more flexibility around the weekends. So there's a difference between weekdays and weekends. So again, for structure, try to eat at the same time every day. I know in our house seems to be an endless cycle of making food and cleaning up after making food. The day seems to revolve around that. But yeah, try to eat at the same time every day. And I know some of the people I work with, when they get involved in video games or YouTube or talking with friends online, people can forget to eat. They can lose track of time and forget to eat. So, if you are more independent in terms of like you can within your house, you just eat whenever you want, like my 14-year-old, 13-year-old does. That's fine, but maybe setting an alarm just to remember when to eat could be helpful. Try to integrate exercise. And it can be fun. It really can be. I guess my question, I'm going to ask a quick question here to try to make it interactive again, is anybody doing exercise? And if you are, what you're doing, some of it could be like, I know there's some apps that people are using. I know there's some video games to integrate exercise. I'm not a gamer, but I know people who are. I am doing just dance with my kids. It's fun. Get some exercise. I'm trying to go out and walk more than I have been, but that's really important. So my question is, what exercise people are doing? So feel free. Exercise. Is anybody doing any form of exercise? I see a question keep popping up, and I will chat with that about that afterwards. But in terms of exercise, is anybody doing anything? No answers yet, but I'll keep it up. There we go. Dog walks. Yeah, and that's. So somebody mentioned going for walks with dogs, and I think people who do have animals, especially dogs, that's been helpful. Somebody else said walking dog. So I know I've talked to a lot of people who are finding that's helpful. Depending on where you live, I think in Ontario, people have more comfort level around going outside. Where I know we're still, I think there's some misinformation about this. From what I understand right now. So somebody's doing a virtual exercise program. Somebody said they own a cat. I do too. I have two. Somebody's local in Peterborough. Hello. So people in the area down in Peterborough here, anyway, is not that busy. So I can go out for walks and see people, but I can distance myself easily. I know people in bigger cities, like Toronto and stuff, I have friends there, are finding that difficult because it's so busy. So we still need to keep the protocol, not to exercise in groups, not to run in groups, but it's still okay to get outside and to go for a walk. If you're comfortable doing that, not everybody is. And so I want to honor that. Not everybody, for lots of reasons. For some people on the spectrum in general, are overwhelmed by sensory information. So somebody said they're going on walks. Great. So I know some people in general, some people on the spectrum find it hard to be outside for long periods of time because of sensory issues and running into people and things like that. So somebody's saying there's a forest behind where they live, so that's great. So getting out in nature is good. I'm going to shut the question and answer window now. I know that I fell off on exercise, meaning I was doing it and then I stopped. So when I talk about structure and routine, I know it's hard. Personally, know it's hard. But if you can have a little bit of exercise every day, it can be really helpful. Relaxation. So I've talked to for people who do play video games. I know I can't remember what it's called. But there's a new video game that's come out, or an updated one in the last couple of weeks, Animal Crossing maybe, that's slow paced, sort of like a real life simulation, real time, and that's been really relaxing for some people I work with. Is doing, if you don't want to do a formal relaxation program with like breathing and that sort of thing, some people are finding playing slow paced video games to be helpful. I'm doing a little bit more baking with my kids. That's kind of relaxing at times. So finding things that you're comfortable doing and are relaxing. And consider connecting with others. So I know we have to be isolating, but if you have friends or families or teachers or support people in your life, you can still connect with them, but via text or email, videos, if you're comfortable doing that. Not everybody is, but again, that's important to remain connected. Just because we have to isolate, and what I will say, and I don't have to say this to people too much. There's this myth about people on the spectrum, but autistic folks not wanting or needing social contact, and we know that's not true. And so I think, for everybody, it's so important to connect with others. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, because I'm conscious of the time and I always talk too much. Okay, structure and routine. The other slide that I didn't put in there about family and about schoolwork. So teenagers now in high school, or ones in like grade 7 and 8, now have schoolwork to do. I know it's helpful to have set times to do that, a set place to do that. If you have a desk or a place that's for schoolwork, but I also, so to try to integrate those times during the day where you are actually doing schoolwork. I know my friends who are teachers. Teachers also want families and people to be well. That is their primary concern. If you don't get all your work done, doing work is important. Keeping up to date as much as you can is important, but it's not the be all and end all right now. Try to do it. Try to structure in your day. It's important to. I think it's important to be engaging in schoolwork. But and learn. So okay, hopefully people can see me. I just popped in and out there. So so make sure that you're making time for that. And family, it's fantastic that we're home with family. I'm enjoying being home with both my kids, and my husband's home working from home as well. It is nice. It's a lot too, though. So it's okay. Okay, so it sounds good now. Somebody said that the internet went out, but it looks good now. So it's okay to take breaks from your family too. Maybe talk to your parents, siblings about just having time that you're on your own, and that's okay. Okay, so some basics that we said. So drink water. I know that sounds boring, but it's healthy and it benefits us in lots of different ways. I have forgotten to do that. So you will see, I actually have 2 glasses of water sitting here to remind myself to drink. Get sunlight when it is sunny out. I don't know if somebody said in Ottawa today it's sunny. Here it's really overcast and cloudy. But treat yourself as a plant. If you are fortunate enough to have a house where you may have a bit of a front lawn or a back lawn, go outside if you can. If you have a balcony, if it's safe to be out on a balcony, do that. If not, I know not everybody, some people live in high-rise buildings and don't have access to all of those things, which does make things a little bit more difficult. But if you have access to going outside, try to make that a priority. Just, you don't have, for people who are not comfortable going on walks, bring a book outside, bring some music outside just for a few minutes to get out. We know that sunlight and fresh air really do positive things for our mental health. If it's nice out, open some windows if you can, if that's something that you're good with and your family are good with. That can be just have some fresh air in the house. Okay, these sound like simple things, but they really do help support our wellness. So yeah, remember to eat regularly. So set alarms if you sometimes forget to eat, or ask someone to remind you. Said that earlier. So eating regularly, and as much as possible, healthy foods. Making sure, I know many of the people that I work with have sensory issues around food. But if you can, try to eat, and because of that, may have more limited food choices. But trying to eat a wide variety of foods can be very helpful for your overall physical health, and your overall physical health impacts your mental health, so wellness. So I know we have probably a number of different ages on here, and some people who may be in charge of their own medication if they're on it, and some whose families may guide their medication and giving it to them. So just, for families and people, it's really important right now to make sure that you are remembering to take it, especially because people's routines are messed up a little bit right now, or different. So when they were usually taking it, different, they may be taking it before they go to school. That's not happening now. So just having a time that you make sure that you're taking it. So we talked about pets. So I'm going to bring up the question and answer, because pets are always a good thing. Oh, somebody saying I'm glitching a lot. Oh, do you know what? I am really happy somebody said that. So that somebody said they're bummed out because it's their grade 8 year, and they're missing out on not the last year before they're moving on. And you know what? I know that's tough. And I know that's hard. My daughter also is in grade 8, and they're going to have an end of the year trip. And it's okay to be bummed out about that. It's okay to feel that way, because it's a valid way to feel. And I know people who are finishing high school too have that same experience. So yeah, I'm hoping like when people can reconnect with friends and things, maybe there's things that people can do to yes, what did I, pets? That was my question. So people talk about dogs. I don't know what's going on, people. People talked about cats and dogs. And anybody else have, yeah, I know I'm glitching. I'm not sure why. Anybody else have pets that they want to talk, that they have that they're enjoying right now? So we have 2 black cats. I don't know if they like us being home so much, but we're home so much. We also have a gerbil. So I also have a gerbil. I don't. My kid does. A hamster, and we have a number of fish. So I'm busy sort of feeding and caring for those animals. So if we know that spending time with animals and pets can be really helpful. So making sure that you're doing that. So have a clear start to your day, and then talk more about it on the next slide. And have a clear bedtime routine. I'm going to talk more about that on the next slide. Okay. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so the clear start to the day, it provides structure. And this is kind of a joke, but quick. What day of the week it is, what month? I'm joking, but only kind of. I know for me that I've had, so somebody said they have 6 pets in total, some guinea pigs, and 2 rats. Somebody had talked about the dog and having to give their dog a haircut. Somebody has a bird, a cockatiel. Yeah, so pets are really, he doesn't shed. Yeah, so pets are really important, and spending time with them and petting them, especially when we're feeling sad, that can be a good help. Somebody said they have a Maine, I think that's a Maine Coon cat, I think. Oh, those are beautiful cats. I think those are the ones with the very, very fluffy tails. Yeah, Maine Coon, that's what I thought you said. With a very, very fluffy tail, with beautiful beautiful, beautiful. So spend time with your animals. It really does help support your mental health. So I'm going to just close the chat box now, and I'm going to move on, but I'll come back to it at another question. If it is helpful, check a calendar, or if you have a phone, so you know what day of the week it is. I'm finding that helpful. My kid was laughing about this, or telling about this yesterday. It feels like the days are going really quickly, and the time is going quickly, but then you think about like 6 weeks ago when this all started, and that feels forever ago. So I think, knowing what day of the week it is, for some people, the passing of time is overwhelming. So if it's not helpful to look at the day of the week, that's fine. For some people, knowing what day of the week it is can be helpful, and just knowing the time's passing, and knowing, just having some grounding on that. Have breakfast. Mention that. Get changed into new clothes. I know. Why bother? But it is important. I'll tell you why. So, I will speak for myself. That new clothes, and depending on what I'm doing during the day, it makes me feel good. So the shoes, my shoes are important to me to feel good. I put makeup on some days. Somebody's saying they can't hear me. So thanks for letting me know that. I've passed that along. So okay. So somebody says I'm still standing. Okay. So changing clothes just also signifies a start and end to a day. So that can be that's helpful. Sometimes when people stop changing their clothes and sleeping in too late, it can be a sign of your mood slipping a little bit and feeling not so great. And sometimes it takes a lot of energy. I know it does. It takes a lot of energy to get going for the day, and to get changed and do all brushing your teeth. But that energy, research says it does help you feel better. It helps you feel better. It helps you feel like a little bit more, I'm going to use the word productive or motivated. So try to change your clothes every day. And especially try to have different clothes that you wear to bed and different clothes that you wear during the day. Again, it breaks up the day from nighttime to daytime. And that's important, that differences. And to shower, because keeping the routine, we'll all go back to normal someday, or a new normal, but we'll go back, and having those routines in place are really helpful. So I've been doing this, and I'm sort of advising people, when you remember, sometimes you won't, consider writing or typing or talking out some intentions for the day in the morning. So some things that you want to do, and that could be playing a certain video game, that could be doing some schoolwork, that could be spending time with parents or a sibling. So just some things that you want to get done. Again, they don't have to be tough ones, but just you sort of have some things that you know you're going to do during the day. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next slide, because of course I'm talking too much again. So it's almost like a checklist that I like to do. So consider having something fun each day, something relaxing you can do each day, something creative you can do each day. So if people are artists on here, or like to write stories, if you're creative at all, making sure that you're, even something small, that you're not going to judge yourself for in terms of the product. So you're not, I know some people I work with, if it's not good enough, they feel really bad. So just something you're going to have fun with. I do say something productive. I put in quotation marks. I don't want us to put pressure on ourselves right now, but sometimes getting things accomplished can make us feel good. So being productive could be helping somebody do the dishes, or taking the dog for a walk, or something that you've sort of accomplished for the day. For some of the people I work with, it's even, getting to the next level of a video game. So some sense of accomplishment. We talked about exercise, connection with other people, and time for stimming, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit more. Stimming is. So many people probably know, but so some neurotypical folks do it as well, but people on the spectrum, as a way to emotionally regulate, have certain movements sometimes that they do, sometimes that they intentionally do, or sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. So it could be, somebody said, remarkably not enough time in the day. Teacher's giving us a lot of work. She's demanding in class, but at home, like double time. So somebody, I think you can talk to your teacher about that, and you don't feel like you have to keep up. Do wellness right now is the most important. So talk to, if you're feeling overwhelmed. I think teachers want to know that and want to know they want people to be well. So stimming. So some people like to pace around, walk around. Some people do rocking behaviors. Some people flap. Some people like to jump. Somebody said today would have been a PA day, but apparently not. Yes, I've actually told my kids they don't have to work today, because it is a PA day, here in the Peterborough area anyway. Okay. So back to my so stimming, working that in, if that's something that's calming to you. Okay, let me go back to my slides. So again, important to have a bedtime routine too. We know, or I know, and now I will tell you, that having professionals, the fancy dancy term for it is sleep hygiene. So sleep hygiene means having good routines before you go to bed and as you're going to bed. That having a similar routine every night can be helpful in supporting sleep. A lot of people I work with have difficulty sleeping. It seems to be more common on the autistic population than neurodiverse people to have trouble sleeping. And so I think in that situation, one, we need to do everything we can to support sleep, but also not to overthink the not sleeping part, which is kind of counterintuitive, I know. But just to if you're having trouble sleeping in bed, to try to even do a body scan, which I'm going to put a link later, link to this through Autism Ontario's site, but a body scan and things to sort of calm your body a little bit if you're having trouble sleeping. But so sleep hygiene means trying to go to sleep around the same time every night, and not too late. So I would talk to your families about this in terms of if there's flexibility around staying up a little bit later and sleeping in a little bit later. I know in my family, we slightly, everybody's a little bit later and sleeping in a bit. I know some people I work with need to be up at the same time, and that's helpful for them. What I really want to remind people, though, is if your sleep routine gets turned upside down too much, meaning if you're up really late at night and sleeping more during the day, when we have to go back to things being sort of more typical, it's going to be hard to get back to it. So trying to keep it as much as normal right now is going to be really important. So before you go to bed, it can be helpful to try to write down or think about things that you enjoyed or accomplished during the day. The morning to write down some intentions. At the end of the day, what was good about the day. Because even though this is a tough time, there's still good things. Yesterday, I was outside and heard a blue jay. And we have a number of blue jays in my backyard right now, and that's been something that I've enjoyed. Think about a little bit about like your plan for the next day. Again, brush your teeth and shower or whatever, whenever, don't shower twice a day, but do a bit of a routine of washing your face, brushing your teeth, whatever sort of is helpful. Change your clothes. I know, again, why. It helps to give a good start and end to the day, to have a change of clothes. They say, research says to limit, with the light, to limit, and with the amount of information coming in, to limit social media and videos and video games before you go to sleep, up to an hour beforehand. Maybe read a book instead. Listen to music. Sometimes it's helpful for people, but try to limit the amount of information coming at you and light just before bed. Some people have white noise machines or relaxing music or guided meditation as they go to sleep, and that can be helpful. A body scan. So body scan, it really is just, and again, there's guided ones, is about as you're lying in bed, consciously sort of tensing or like being aware of relaxing your jaw, and then relaxing your neck, and then relaxing your shoulders, and then relaxing your chest. So it's a way of just bit by bit relaxing your entire body, and that can help you sleep. Again, I'll find a link to a good one. Okay. So some basics that we sometimes forget. So limit or in moderation. I don't know if anybody drinks coffee or tea, but limit that. Limit pop and sugar. Naps. So people feel like now is a good time to be doing lots of napping. In some ways, yeah, at times it's okay to do that. I've napped a little bit more lately, and I've allowed myself to do that. But it can also interrupt sleep and can cause you to be not as motivated. So just for some people, having none may be important, just to make sure that you're not sleeping too much is important. That being said, in my experience, teens and adults on the spectrum tend to need more sleep than neurotypical folks, just because of how much information and how they take in information and sensory. So just be aware of your benchmark, meaning how much you typically sleep before this is going on, and try not to add too much to that, because then that can really inhibit your motivation. Okay, 15 minutes. I'm doing good. I'm keeping a time. A little bit about mindfulness. And I'm not going to talk in too much detail about this, but what mindfulness really means is about paying attention in a particular way. So what that means is you're purposefully paying attention. So in the present moment and non-judgmentally. So lots of people do that through meditation. In my experience, some teens on the spectrum do a really good job with meditation. Some really don't enjoy it and find it very difficult and actually find it stressful. So if you're a person that enjoys it, there's lots of guided meditations that you can do. What I mean by mindfulness right now is to find moments during the day where you are 100% engaged in what you're doing in an enjoyable way. So that could be lots of different ways that you're doing that. So I don't know if I keep going back to video games, but playing video games. So being immersed in that and enjoying that and not thinking about anything else. So being just present in that. I know some people I work with are artists. So drawing, I don't know if anybody does the, which I've started doing, and there's lots you can find online these days, but like adult coloring book pages, so coloring in and just being very present in that coloring aspect. That's a very mindful thing. If you were doing it in a very present way, tending to plants. I actually have gone out and had some plants delivered because it's sort of enjoyable to look at them and take care of them in a very mindful way. So finding something that you can do that you are paying complete attention to. Okay. Let me just, sorry, as I'm talking to myself. Next. So the other thing about mindfulness is sometimes what happens is we are really judgmental of ourselves. And mindfulness allows us to be aware of what we're thinking. And part of mindfulness is being aware of the thoughts that pop into our heads. So you don't have to jot these down, but just take a moment and think of some of the shoulds that pop into your head. So I'm wondering if the person earlier who mentioned about schoolwork and that it's a PA day. So some of it is like, oh, I should be keeping up. Somebody said I'm going to run out of books and jigsaw puzzles. So I'm glad that you're keeping busy doing books and jigsaw puzzles. You have to find things that you enjoy. I started a jigsaw puzzle because this is one of my shoulds. I thought I should do something like that because people are talking about doing jigsaw puzzles, and I realized I hate jigsaw puzzles. So, and I hate sorry, I'm just being distracted by a question or comment. yeah, I hate doing jigsaw puzzles. And so I've had to take that should out of that and I've just stopped doing it. So just be aware of all the shoulds you're telling yourself. Like I should be doing more schoolwork. It's good to have some of those intentions, but not to get too caught up in judging yourself if you can't do it. Okay, that's my big thing is, you know, do the best you can right now, but don't judge yourself if you're having a hard time. If if you're feeling like you're having lots of negative thoughts about I should be doing this, or I shouldn't be doing this, or I should be coping better, talk to your parent and tell them about that, or a support person in your life, so that you can talk it out a little bit. It's okay to have normal right now to be having some negative feelings, but you can get support, so they're not bothering you too much. Okay. Yeah, so that's the pesky should. So in mindfulness speak, it's kind of interesting. They call that the second arrow. So the second arrow is the way that we judge ourselves. So the first arrow is the situation. Or that. The one thing we do have a certain way. Okay, so I'm going to start over on the second arrow because I glitched. But yeah, so being aware of the second arrow is so the first arrow is the actual situation. So COVID-19, that is something we have no control over. We are in the situation. We have no control over it. We got to accept that, right? Radical acceptance that we have no control over that. The second arrow is the judgment we have on ourselves that we should be coping better. So all those shoulds. We should be doing more. We should be doing more schoolwork. We have all this time. So those are all, this is a new situation for everybody, and we need to be kind to ourselves and be aware of the judgment that we're placing on ourselves. So really that is the second area is how we judge ourselves for not doing this right, or not doing things well enough. So this is where we have some choice. And not to judge yourself if you're not able to, if you still are having those feelings. I guess when I talk about the second arrow, I really want people to have a sense of compassion for themselves right now, to be kind. We talk about being kind to other people. We need to really be kind to ourselves right now, and to definitely try to have structure and routine, but realize everybody's just doing the best we can right now. Okay. Again, those expectations. I mean, I know I'm saying this, we're living through a global pandemic. I don't mean to be saying that, adding stress to people right now. The only reason I'm saying that in such black and white terms is because, and there are a lot of unknowns and uncertainties right now, and that is hard. I think the hardest thing for people right now is we don't know when it's going to end. We don't know when things are going to go back. That's hard for everybody. I think it's particularly hard for people on the spectrum, maybe, because it's just a sort of unknown feeling that's really uncomfortable. So it is okay to feel worried about it. It's normal, and we need to be kind to ourselves. And I said, talk to parents. But we can, dialectical thinking is using and instead of but. So you can try to do the best you can during a day and get things accomplished, and have trouble with it sometimes, and that's okay. You can feel overwhelmed and find moments of pleasure with animals. So realizing that you can have, which is kind of strange, two different emotions at the same time, and that those are all valid. We got to talk about, productivity versus wellness. Again, it's sort of the person, thank you, commented about schoolwork, and learning versus wellness, therapy programs versus wellness. Wellness is a priority right now. And for some people, wellness is being productive and having a really good schedule. And for some people, wellness is not doing all those things. So you know yourself, and your family and your parents know you. If letting up a little bit it would support your wellness, and sort of letting up on schoolwork and things like that, great. If some people, I know for my 13-year-old daughter, for her, doing schoolwork is important, and keeping up to that is important. So doing what's helpful for you. I'm going to skip over that slide. Sorry. So at the end of the day, you know, take some time to write down some ways that you can be gentle and kind to yourself. You know, things that you can do that you enjoy that are, you know, could be gardening, could be spending time with your animals. It could be allowing yourself some time to rest, to read a book. Just some ways that you can be gentle and shift some, maybe not hand in that assignment and email your teacher and say, you know what, I'm doing the best I can. Can't do this one right now. So finding ways to sort of let go of some of those expectations, and talk to your family about what can be shifted as well, if that's important. Okay, so I'm on the last slide. Yay! I say the yay not because I'm happy to be done. I say the yay because I talk a lot sometimes, and I've gone over my time limit sometimes. And this, I think, I'll end sort of right near on time. I'm going to do a short meditation after this. Not a meditation, like a guided imagery. So at the end of the day, make sure you're taking some time to write down some things that brought you joy and contentness. As I said, start writing some goals or intentions for the day. And at the end of the day, considering writing 2 or 3 things that brought you joy or that you were grateful for. Okay, so now I'm going to get my little piece of paper out here. I'm going to do a very brief guided imagery. So it's not a meditation. We may go 1 or 2 minutes over 12 o'clock, but not much over. So I'm going to do guided meditation or guided relaxation. Sorry, it's not a meditation, it's imagery. Before I say this, I know some of the people I work with also have really fantastic imagination skills and fantasy skills, and they can take sort of characters that they like and make stories and have them in their head. That in some ways is a relaxation as well, as long as you're not getting too immersed into it for the entire day. Like having times to come in and out of that can be helpful. Okay. So bear with me, I'm bringing my phone up, not to check any messages, but to put on some quiet music. Okay. So we're going to do a bit of a guided meditation here. It says to close your eyes. Not everybody's comfortable with that, so you do whatever makes you most comfortable, okay? Okay. It's about being on a river and on water, so just to give you the heads up. So if you want to participate, great. If not, you can go in your head some other place until I'm done. Okay, so it says, take a nice deep breath and close your eyes. Breathe in and then exhale slowly. Exhale out any stress, tension, or tightness you feel anywhere in your body. Focus your attention on your head, face, and neck. Just allow them to sort of shift and allow them to muscles become relaxed. And feel sort of some of those muscles relaxing and the tension dissipating. So feel the relaxation coming over your entire body. Relax as it flows down your shoulders, relaxing them and melting away any tension you hold there. Feel the relaxation flow down your entire body. Enjoy how relaxed and comfortable you become. It feels wonderful to be warm and deeply relaxed all over. Now picture in your mind a beautiful day outside with sunshine everywhere, and we will get back to that sometime. And you spent your day outside at a bit of a sort of a water park that hasn't been too busy. There's been a few people there, and so it hasn't been too overwhelming. It's the end of the day and time for one last ride down the lazy river before you leave. You dip a toe into the river and step down into it, feeling the cool water touch your warm skin. The sunshine makes you feel good, so good inside. You jump on your water float and begin your lovely, calming last ride of the day. As the float takes you lazily down the river, you decide to put your fingers into the water. You allow them to glide back and forth in the water to make circles and swirls around your fingers as you continue floating down this cool, calm river. You smile to yourself because you feel so good and so grateful for this day. What have you noticed around you? Are there trees and animals? You realize how calm and content you feel right now. You might find yourself especially thankful for this day. Each day is different, And you feel happy inside because you know that one day these differences will come back again. Some days are fast and busy. Some days, like now, are slower and more relaxed. You remind yourself that you are thankful for it. You know that each day is special, and life will get better and better, and things will go back to normal. Gratitude is when your hearts feel thankful for experiences because we know that experiences help us grow. Gratitude fills up our hearts with happiness. You now notice that you've come to the end of the lazy river. You've been enjoying the ride so much it passed more quickly than you could have imagined. Now it's time to gather your thoughts and keep all your gratitude in your heart as you find yourself back in your room once again. So feel free, if you've shut your eyes, to open them and stretch and move about a little bit. And hopefully you feel relaxed. I'm going to turn the music off. So that wasn't a meditation, but sort of a guided imagery. And for people who find meditation difficult, you can do guided imageries as a way to, to sort of use your imagination to not escape what's happening right now, but to go to a place of calm. And I think that's important. And so you can find lots of those online as a way to feel calm, and more grounded, and more relaxed. I just asked my person who's supporting me at Autism Ontario, who's on a little chat over here. Can I go for like a minute or two more, just to see if people have questions? I'm assuming so. Yep. Okay. So I really appreciate everybody who's been here. I full disclosure, which I didn't say at the beginning, I get really anxious before doing these, and part of me doing mindfulness is to not judge myself over it, and so and I like to teach people that all your emotions are valid, and that people experience things differently. So I want to thank you for being here, and I really want to thank the people also who participated by answering questions. I know not everybody's comfortable doing that, and so I also want to thank people who I see the numbers, so I know people are watching. So even if you didn't participate by asking questions or comments, I really appreciate you being here and taking the time to be here.